Oh, hi everyone, just out on nightly patrol. Oh, but do me a favor, check out patreon.com/lastangrygeek. There, you can make a donation that will help me get my shows made. I can make new shows, buy better equipment, and there's some great rewards for everyone who donates. So do me a favor, check it out. Thanks. Hello everyone, welcome back to You Know Who. I'm your host, The Reviewer. And with me as always is my cameraman, Jamie. Hey, how are you? Well, the season premiere of Doctor Who just premiered, so let's get to it. Actually, the premiere was over a month ago. What? That's ridiculous. The SARDIS, or Studio and Relative Dimension in etc., was supposed to deliver us to exactly immediately after the premiere, so we could deliver this review in a timely fashion. Yeah, I'm afraid that's my bad. I spilled Guinness all over the console last night. Jamie. I tried to mop it up with a damp rag, but, well, I'm afraid the damage was done. Jamie, you know how I feel about drinking Guinness. You're for it! Exactly, so, why didn't you call me? Oh, crumbs. Well, for better or worse, this is The Magician's Apprentice. And the Witch is Familiar. Yes, and the Witch is Familiar. This is You Know Who. On a strange battlefield, a soldier chases a boy into a minefield. A hand mine, literally, grabs the soldier and pulls him down into the ground. The boy is surrounded by the mines when a sonic screwdriver lands at his feet. It's the Doctor. He tries to get the boy to concentrate on his survival and asks him his name. It's Davros. This is the boy who will grow up to create the Daleks. Hi, Reviewer! Normally we would have watched a clip of that amazing revelation. What gives? Well, Jamie, you remember that spilt Guinness? I had to replace several circuits, and unfortunately, the only circuitry I had left was from those robots we defeated in the Utopian Nebula. Unfortunately, the AI contained within felt we didn't have the right to copy certain things from that show. What are you saying? That, unfortunately, Jamie, we're being held up on copyright issues by Utu bots. How's that for social commentary? In space, a slithering creature calling itself Colony Sarf is searching for the Doctor. A known servant of Davros, the creature is searching everywhere from slums to the Shadow Proclamation to the Sisterhood of the Flame on Khan. It's on Khan that the Doctor hears his message that Davros is dying. Davros remembers and wishes to face the Doctor one last time. In a dark chamber, Davros is awaiting the Doctor, holding on to the sonic screwdriver. He sends Sarv after the Doctor's friends. On Earth, Clara is teaching until she notices that a plane in the sky isn't moving. Nothing in the sky is moving. Clara is called into unit where Kate Stewart is upset the Doctor isn't answering his phone. That's because they don't know enough yet. As they analyze the situation, they receive a text message with the words to the song, Hey Mickey, except ending in Missy. Sure enough, Missy's back. Alive, not dead, moving on. She wants a group of snipers there to cover her, otherwise Clara won't meet with her. I know. Missy was dead, and you want an explanation that not only satisfies your lust for good writing, but also your rapid adherence to continuity as science fiction fans. Well, forget it. This is Stephen Moffat. Continuity is a dirty word. But we'll get more into that later. Clara arrives. After some banter over Missy causing Danny's death, they get down to business. The Doctor's disappeared, but not before he released his last will and testament in the form of a confession disc to Missy. Missy wants to find the Doctor before he dies. When Clara asks if this means Missy is now good, she responds by killing several of Clara's bodyguards. Clara demands that Missy make her believe she really wants to save the Doctor, so she releases the planes. The disc means he's expecting to die, and they need to find him. Unit, Missy, and Clara search history for anachronisms. A Time Lord is meant to die quietly and in contemplation. That means the Doctor's throwing a wild party somewhere. They track him to the 10th century, and Missy grabs Clara and they teleport back in time. In an arena, an axe-wielding warrior calls forth the Magician, which turns out to be the Doctor playing the electric guitar on a tank. All right, everyone, let's play a game. Think of the coolest thing you can. What is it? It doesn't matter. We've got the Doctor playing electric guitar on a tank. Nothing will ever be cooler than that. You automatically lose. They reunite, but his quick hug really freaks her out. Missy joins them and shows that Time Lords are apparently double-jointed in the neck. The warrior returns choking and the Doctor pulls a snake off his throat. It quickly slithers under the cloaks of Colony Sarf. Sarf literally falls apart into a colony of snakes and the audience runs away. The head snake informs them Davros is dying and wants to speak to the doctor one last time. He agrees, but only if no one else here dies. Sarf reforms, and the doctor questions why he should give in to his archenemy, which puts Missy off a bit. She promises to scratch Davros' eye out. Sarf tells them that Davros knows. Davros remembers. He drops the sonic screwdriver at the doctor's feet. The doctor's face goes funny. Clara recognizes that he's ashamed. In the flashback, we see the doctor abandoning young Davros in the hand minefield. Sarf takes Clara and Missy with them to its ship. However, in that arena, the warrior returns and finds the TARDIS. A Dalek eye stalk reveals that he's a Dalek duplicate. The doctor gives a brief history lesson on the Dalek's creator before wondering just who was responsible for making Davros the way he is. Imprisoned on a space station, Sarf comes for the doctor. Clara believes the doctor knows he'll survive and come back for her. As he leaves, he whispers gravity to Missy. Missy starts jumping around. This gravity is wrong for a space station, too perfect. Missy wonders if this is the day she kills Clara and opens the station's airlock. A weak Davros is kept inside a massive life support unit. He approves of the doctor's new, old face and replays some of his previous encounters with the doctor before pointing out he came here because of his sense of duty, guilt, and shame. Davros' belief in the Daleks versus the Doctor's hatred of them has been at the core of all their dealings. It even survived the Time War, but it will end tonight. A sensor alerts them to Clara and Missy leaving the station. They seem to be floating in deep space. Missy realizes they're on a cloaked planet. Once you start breathing in the atmosphere, you sync with the planet. As it becomes visible, Missy and the Doctor realize, this is Skaro.
But we already knew that from Asylum of the Daleks! Jamie, that reminds me. Do you remember when we met? Your parents had committed you to that asylum for chronic bedwetters. Oh, tell the whole world, why don't you? Come on, Jamie, you know nobody's watching.
Davros has returned home to be with his children. A classic old-school Dalek then appears and captures the ladies. They're brought into a room containing a Dalek Supreme, Daleks of every iteration, and the TARDIS. The Daleks are going to destroy the TARDIS. Missy tries to bargain with them. She can unlock the TARDIS and give the Daleks supreme power. Or they can kill her. They kill her. The Doctor gets on his knees and begs Davros to save Clara, but it's beyond his power. Davros comments on how the Daleks savor Clara's fear. They need her to run, and as soon as she does, she is shot and seemingly disintegrates. Numb, the Doctor wonders aloud why he ever let Davros live. Davros, in turn, wants only to hear the Doctor say that compassion is wrong. The Daleks destroy the TARDIS. Back in time on Skaro, young Davros is surprised by a man standing behind him. How did he get past the mines? The Doctor has decided to save his friend, raises a gun, and shouts, "Exterminate." The witch's familiar opens with a spinning upside-down Clara. She's hung by her feet. Missy explains that once upon a time, the Doctor was cornered by androids with a powerless teleporter. They open fire and he seemed to die. She asks Clara, how did he survive? Clara realizes that the teleporter ran on the same energy as the android weapons, and their fire charged it, saving his life. Clara realizes this is how they survived the Daleks. Missy cuts her down. They both know that the Doctor always survives because he always knows there's a way out. But this time, the Doctor's afraid he's going to die, so he's not looking for that way out. So it's up to them to save him. The Doctor manages to power up an ancient Dalek gun and screams at Davros to get out. The Daleks sense Davros leaving his infirmary, even as he calls to them to warn the Doctor is escaping. The entire city mobilizes until we see the Doctors riding Davros' chariot, and what's left of the mad scientist is on the floor of his infirmary.
Admit it, everyone at one time or another has wanted to ride around in that Dalek chair. If I had one, I'd take it everywhere. I don't have any leg problems, I'm just lazy.
The Daleks open fire. Meanwhile, Missy and Clara are contemplating Dalek sewers, the only unmonitored way into the city, except the sewers are alive. Missy needs to judge how far the drop is, so she pushes Clara in. About 20 feet. The Doctor is peacefully sipping a cup of tea. He knows Davros never fully trusts the Daleks, and his safeguards are there to keep him alive. The chair is shielded from the Dalek weapons. Clara awakens and trades threats with Missy, who quickly dismisses her when she fails to kill her. The Dalek sewers are dripping with gooey organic material. A Dalek can't technically die, but their bodies age and putrefy, so they're dumped into the sewers, which are coated with a living, insane biomass of Dalek flesh. The Doctor broadcasts to the whole city. He wants Clara brought to him alive and unharmed. Missy is sure that this might push the Doctor over the edge, but Davros is happy to see the Doctor wants so much destruction. It's then snakes swarm out of the chair over the Doctor. Colony Sarv is also Davros' head of security, and now they've trapped the Doctor.
Snakes that form a telepathic colony capable of resembling a human being. Why did it have to be snakes that form a telepathic colony capable of resembling a human being?
Clara's tricked into setting off a Dalek alarm, and Missy handcuffs her to the wall. She then produces an indestructible brooch and hides as a Dalek enters. She pricks several holes in its casing, which is then invaded by the sewer's biomass, killing the Dalek. The Doctor flashes back to leaving young Davros and awakens. Davros has provided the Doctor with a great honor, the only other chair on Skaro. The Doctor passes a snake-like cable with eyes. Missy removes the dead mutant and tells Clara to get in. Davros explains that the machine is keeping him alive, siphoning off life force from every Dalek to sustain him. The Daleks allow it because they are loyal to him, even as Davros narrates the Doctor's revelation. This device can be used to kill all the Daleks, but only if the Doctor kills Davros. This power will allow him to end the Dalek's life once and for all. Not in a time war, but as an act of hatred. He has the power of a god to commit genocide on the Dalek race. But the Doctor won't do it. He tries his best only to do good in the universe. Davros realizes he's again chosen compassion. Missy plugs Clara into the Dalek casing. It seals her in. They test it out, but certain concepts like personal identity and love don't translate in the Dalek voice. Saying exterminate is how the Daleks charge their guns.
Now admit it, every one of you is fantasized about driving around in a Dalek suit.
Oh, you're not going to go through that again, are you?
Spoil spot.
Davros questions why the Doctor ran from Gallifrey. It can't be as simple as the Doctor being bored. He also wonders just what's on the Doctor's confession disc. The Doctor gets upset. There are some things that are sacred to him, and quickly removes his sunglasses. Dalek Clara takes Missy into the city. They're taken to the Supreme Dalek. The Doctor tells Davros that, while it's still lost, Gallifrey is back, safe from the Daleks. Davros then shocks him by saying he's glad. Everyone should have a race, a planet. Every man should belong somewhere. He's happy for the Doctor and asks to see his face with his own eyes, turning off the camera built into his forehead and slowly reopening his organic eyes. The Doctor should do even the darkest deed to protect his race, just as Davros did for his. Tears flowing, Davros begs the Doctor to tell him if he's done right by the Daleks. The Doctor is convinced Davros is dying. He admits he doubted it, and Davros points out that he's not a very good Doctor. The ancient enemies actually share a laugh.
This is beyond uncomfortable.
Davros laments that he won't live to see one last sunrise. Clara and Missy return to the Dalek Control Center. She wants to be brought to Davros. In return, she'll give them Clara Oswald. Davros explains how the Daleks rebuilt Skaro. Davros is too far gone. It's not enough to draw the life from the Daleks anymore. The Doctor admits that he owes a favor to that boy he abandoned all those years ago. The sun is rising, but Davros can't see it. He's fading away. So the Doctor decides to give him a dollop of regeneration energy. However, as he steps into the chamber, Davros' eye comes back online. The moment the Doctor grabs one of the cables, actually Colony Sarf, it begins to drain him of his regeneration energy. The Daleks all shut down, but Missy is shocked to see regeneration energy coming from their casings. Davros and the Daleks are being reinvigorated with the Doctor's energy. On Gallifrey, there was a myth of a hybrid. Two warrior races combining into one, half Dalek, half Time Lord. Missy enters, destroying the machine and killing Sarf. The Daleks come back online, more powerful than ever. Davros gloats, but the Doctor begins counting down. When he gets to 1, the city rocks. The Doctor reminds Davros that every single Dalek cell has been regenerated. The Doctor knew what Davros was planning. That insane biomass in the sewers, it's now stronger than ever and rising up to swallow the Dalek city. The Doctor leaves and Missy makes good on her promise to scratch Davros' eye out. The Doctor is stopped by a single unit saying over and over, "I am a Dalek." It's Clara, trapped inside and unable to get her own words through. Missy then tells the Doctor Clara's dead and that this unit killed her. She passes the Doctor the gun, but Clara manages to get the unit to beg for mercy. Something that should be impossible for a Dalek to say. He then notices it isn't killing them. He tells her how to open the casing. She does, and when he sees his friend trapped inside, he tells Missy to run. She admits everyone is both enemy and friend, a hybrid, and strolls off. The Doctor and Clara enter the control center, and the Daleks open fire, but the lasers bounce off. The TARDIS force field is still there. The hazard action displacement system caused it to disperse into atoms rather than be destroyed. Using his latest invention, sonic sunglasses, he rematerializes the TARDIS, and they leave the Daleks behind. But the Daleks still manage to surround Missy, who's just had a clever idea. Watching the city burn, the Doctor wonders how Clara got the concept of mercy out of a Dalek unit. He has a revelation and runs back into the TARDIS. He returns to young Davros, and we repeat the last ending, but see that he shot down the hand mines. He'll return Davros home. Concepts of friend and enemy don't matter as long as mercy exists. Hand in hand, they walk off.
I suppose Aunt Missy's clever idea will come back to haunt us one way or another. What did I think of this two-parter? Oh, by the way, this entire season is composed of two-part episodes, so I'm going to be reviewing both episodes at the same time. Therefore, you know who will be bi-weekly. It's just the way I prefer to do things. Anyway, this was an emotional roller coaster of an episode that drew you in, but was it technically good? We take a closer look at the Magician's Apprentice and the Witch's Familiar.
Before we get to the facts, let's talk about the title. Everyone I heard said the titles were referring to Clara. I agree that The Witch's Familiar refers to Clara and her odd buddy cop relationship with Missy, but I think the Apprentice title refers to Davros. After all, he's the one with the magic wand. Let's talk about my big problem with this episode and perhaps the series as a whole. Stephen Moffat. And it's sort of a catch-22. Stephen Moffat loves to tell a good story, and he doesn't care what he has to sacrifice to get there. Nowhere is this more apparent than in his episode-to-episode reinvention of the Daleks. As I mentioned, we get Missy and Davros back with no explanation as to how they escaped death, but I can't hold Moffat up for that. Villains coming back after it looked like they were dead is as old as Doctor Who itself. That said, Moffat started out creating the new Dalek paradigm. Gone by the time of Asylum of the Daleks. In that episode, he wiped the Daleks' memory of the Doctor, but they got them back, but all those Daleks died, so they'd forgotten him again by Into the Dalek. But here, once again, they remember him. But I suppose you could blame that on Davros remembering him. We saw Skaro in Asylum, and it was abandoned. Now it houses a fully stocked Dalek city. If it were implied that there were things happening behind the scenes or between episodes, that I could understand. Like the Daleks moving into Skaro between episodes. But there's always a feeling like Moffat just put pen to paper and completely decided then and there what he wanted to be happening. It doesn't matter who's supposed to be dead or what state this alien empire is supposed to be in. He needs them where they are at the start of the story so he can tell the story he wants. It makes for an exciting adventure, but later, when you're thinking about it, there are usually enough holes in the plot to classify it as a Swiss dairy byproduct. It's a little annoying, and I think the main reason people claim to be dissatisfied with Moffat's Who, because it seems like he doesn't care as much as he should. But Moffat's only job is to get people watching this show, which he does by making them engaging and emotional stories. Now, I said that this was my big problem with the episode, but compared to the things I liked with it, it's a very small problem. I forgive a lot if shows filled with good performances, and the 5 major characters here were on fire. Let's break it down. We meet up with Jenna Coleman's Clara after Last Christmas. The morning of Danny Pink is over, and Clara's once again alive and engaging. No more shamefully keeping 2 parts of her life separate. She performs a sort of double act here with Missy, and while there are a few appropriate moments of tension here and there, they do get along a little too well in my mind. Missy did kill her boyfriend after all, but you can see her slip into companion mode with Missy a little too easily. Maybe that's problematic of Clara's character as a whole. She's too good at being a Time Lord's assistant. Missy is back, and no matter what the reason, I am glad. I think we can safely say that she's become the breakout character on the show, and Michelle Gomez plays her with relish. She alleviates our concerns that she's reformed right away by killing several people, and develops a sort of unhealthy, codependent relationship with Clara for most of these episodes. But it's still Missy, and she's constantly abusing Clara and placing her in danger, much as the Doctor does, but without the genuine fondness. Here, you almost get the feeling that she's coming to the Doctor's aid, not because she wants him to live, but because she can't bear the idea of anyone else killing him besides her. Julian Bleach makes a welcome return as Davros, returning to Doctor Who for the first time since 2008's Journey's End. Again, we don't know how he survived, but I'm glad he did. I'd heard rumors they were going to tell this story, but never heard anything concrete, so the opening revelation really rocked me. Bleach's performance as Davros is so captivating, as he manages to convey so much emotion and character through a prosthetic mask, mostly via gestures and voice modulation. Davros is dying. How do we know? Bleach has him slumped over in his chair most of the time, as though what little energy Davros has left isn't even enough to keep him upright. One tiny complaint: Davros doesn't have eyes. They were burned out of his head by the bomb explosion that crippled him. At least that's what I've always assumed. Again, Moffat. He lives in the now. Here we get to meet only the second alien monster that Davros has created. At least I assume he created him. It's never really spelled out. Connie Sarf was a decent enough monster, and it was nice to throw a non-Dalek alien into the mix. Although since he was a non-Dalek, I'm surprised the Daleks didn't kill him. Sarf wasn't so much a creature, more an excuse to do some solid special effects, but I will give credit to actor Jamie Reed Corll, who imbued the character with a memorable physicality and speech performance, much like Bleach does for Davros. The Daleks were a bit of a non-factor. Yes, everything happening here is for their benefit, but aside from a few corridors, they never even leave their living room. It was nice to see working models of classic Daleks, which was a big complaint from Asylum of the Daleks. But again, with the massive pounding of the reset button, comes Daleks that are taking care of Davros and obey him, whereas previously they've either tried to kill him or used him with a bare tolerance for his non-Dalek existence. Peter Capaldi has found his rhythm with the Doctor, and this lets him break out some real-life skills. He used to be in a band with Mr. Wick. I particularly enjoyed the vulnerability he showed when he thought Davros was dying, and the crisp writing that showed he was in control the entire time, as well as his traveling back to save young Davros so that tiny little bit of mercy could make it into Dalek programming, thus saving his friend. The Doctor saves Davros in order to save Clara. It's just, he does it in reverse. I don't mind the sonic sunglasses. Again, I heard a lot of outrage that he'd forsaken the screwdriver, but that happened once before in the Fifth Doctor era when the writers felt it had gotten too powerful. Some felt the sunglasses were stupid. Oh, like a screwdriver that can open anything without touching it isn't. The best scene was the Doctor and Davros sharing a laugh. Very uncomfortable. Till now, we've never seen Davros show a sense of humor, but again, he wasn't even doing it then. He's a sociopath. He doesn't have emotions, but he was smart enough to fake them to believe he was playing on the Doctor's sympathies. But the Doctor proves he's the superior opponent by, again, being one step ahead of him. Overall, a wonderful examination of the dysfunctional relationship between these two archenemies.
Oh, yes. Two old enemies having a laugh together. Very disturbing. Well, this was an eventful episode. One of the better Davros stories I've seen, and Missy and the Doctor kept it fun. I give The Magician's Apprentice and The Witch is Familiar 4 TARDISes out of 5. Yes. This was a very good character piece. It didn't really reinvent anything, but then you don't always need to have reinvention to have a meaningful episode. Until next time, my friends, I am the reviewer, and this is You Know Who!